Yoshida.
This is Fern Halls.
And you are listening to Aetheryte Radio.
Aetheryte Radio.
Here we go.
What's up, everybody? I just kept us on that for like 10 seconds, so they just see Rook looking away, and then you're just like...
I wanted to start going...
like Wayne's
You're
World.
entering a new dimension.
Hello, and welcome to Aetheryte Radio Gamer Escapes Final Fantasy XIV podcast. I'm FusionX. Joining me today, we've got Xenedra, and we've got Rook.
Woo! Hello, everybody.
So...
Aldino is off finding newfound adventure. So,
that's good. That's
good.
good one.
That was good. That's good. Today we're going to talk about Live Letter 70, the second part of patch 6.1 information. Before we get into that, there's something I need to talk about here. This past week, I know this isn't really hard on Final Fantasy XIV, but Rook, I need to acknowledge this. I have to. She has an NPC now in Guild Wars 2 named Rookery. You can go and check her out. She's in the library at, what was the area?
it's the Kestrel Archives in Arborstone.
There you go.
So if you have the full upgrade, you can go up to that second floor
There you
and
go.
find me in game.
So what Rook doesn't know is this week there's also an NPC that looks like her in Final Fantasy XIV.
Don't joke, Fusion.
We got a
Don't
picture
joke
here.
with me.
It's she just appeared in front of my house with all these boxes. I think it's her inventory, and so she's just standing there with all of her junk.
I'm moving in.
So she's making waves. She's everywhere now. So.
Thank you, friends. It is ridiculous. It's so funny. I feel so embarrassed even like talking about it, but also so excited. I never thought that something like this would happen, and it's really amazing. So thank
Very
you.
cool.
It means a lot.
All right. So with that, we're just gonna get right into it. Live Letter. There's a lot of cool stuff to talk about. So the date, we have the date, April 12th for patch 6.1. We've got the trailer as well, which looks really good.
I was really nervous
so good.
because I'm going someplace on April 20th, and I was like, there's no way I can write the 24-man and the dungeon guide in a day.
You're good. You've got time now. I mean, everybody thought it was probably going to be the 19th. I think even Yoshida-san said, like, it's so funny. Everybody keeps thinking it's the 19th, but it's going to be the 12th. So we got a couple weeks. We've got a little time to prepare. And
Yeah.
yes, this trailer looks amazing.
It
The
does.
music. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I love the so we took like bets on like remember Emmett Silk's laundry list, right? Of
Oh yeah.
these are areas you might go to in the future. Who knows? We're definitely doing those underwater ruins. That's the dungeon. It's those underwater ruins. Totally getting like Outergone vibes from 11 from that. They even actually have one of the 11 enemy models in here too. So and I forget the name of them, but it's like they're like kind of like gold, like robot-y kind of things. You see it for like just like a quick second before the weird spinny top part of the trailer. Yeah, so that's really cool. We get a look at the new Crystalline conflict PvP stuff. We get a little MSQ stuff. We get some looks at Myths of the Realm. We see Zema, we see Naldthal, we see Hrothgar, Byregot, I think was the other one. We see
The jokes for these have been amazing. Talking about the possible things that they could use for abilities, especially Byregot. They're like, it'll be like, hasty touch and stuff.
Yes,
Oh my
it's
God.
so good. I mean, we even were theorizing a little bit about this on the podcast with some of the, I think 8-man stuff that we were talking about and the ancients and everything ahead and the heavens, right? And I was so excited to see that we're going to these different heavens. I'm so surprised though that Azema's like in the initial lineup. I really thought they would try and do something with the like a Zem possible parallel shenanigans, you know. So I'm curious
I
to see
mean,
how this all pans
they
out.
still maybe could. Like,
They definitely could.
who know? Like, we really don't know
They're
how
just
that's
not
all
making us
connected. But
wait.
that
Yeah.
could be. They're just getting it out of the way now.
I do have
love
to say
that they
oh, go
look
ahead.
like the cards.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
the
We were
actual
on the same
cards.
vibe. They look
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
And the fact that they're just all hot, all of them, just incredibly hot. So that's
Well, I mean,
great
Azema is
too.
literally on fire, so that.
I mean,
yeah.
also that.
It's also playing into the whole, you know, if it goes Azem Zama, you know, just putting out there. I think canonically Azem's probably a lady. Just saying.
You know, we could debate this forever, but yeah, in my head for sure.
What else? What else did the trailer have? We saw a group at what looked to be the tower in Garlemald.
Yeah.
Fortuno, Hien. I was getting the kind of vibe from it that it might be tied to the role quest stuff.
Yeah,
We know we're
people
gonna
have been
get kind of
saying
like a
that.
culmination quest or series or whatever from that. So maybe that's tied to it. It looked kind of voidy, maybe.
It did. And we saw the Lambs of Dalamud, which I was like, what? We're pulling these out from the ancient
Where
I think
you guys been?
I think that might be because they also had just some sections where it's like, here's Praetorium with like the new NPCs. So that might just be like, here's a dungeon that they reworked a little bit. I don't know. That was
I guess it
I don't know.
could be. It could be. But I figured that it was tied into the Void Scent because the Lambs of
Could be.
Dalamud were always sort of tied into that. And yeah, I'm curious about the voice that seems to emanate or that entity that seems to kind of come out. We've got Nero, Daddy Fortuno. We've got Rauban. And then Warrior of Light and Hien. So yeah, I mean, it makes sense that might be because they kind of are representatives of the different areas. But I'm curious if they're going to like tie this into the precedent from the Void quests. Throughout the whole trailer too, we get Ishtola talking about, I'm looking for a way to travel between the shards. So I'm just curious if they're going to do a lot of the things that we've been theorizing like simultaneously, where in these patches we're going to be like exploring all these new places, and then they may be setting things up for us to transition to the void like sooner rather than later, or maybe it will just be a side quest. Like I don't know. It's
so interesting because we finished Endwalker and we get Emmett Selk's laundry list, right? Of okay, so like you might go here, you might go here. There's the other shards, and it's like after seeing this trailer, like it's like, oh, so what are we doing next? And it's just like yes, like it's just a little bit of everything.
things.
Yeah. So
He definitely
really
just took on a
curious.
Yoshi P persona at that moment. It was like, hey guys, this is what's coming next. And you thought I was MSO, but I'm
Yeah.
Yoshi P right now.
I'm
I
really
like
curious.
that we have a sort of parallel between the Crystal Tower, because previously we've used the Crystal Tower to visit a bunch of these places. And they're like, here's a new creepy tower. Maybe it does the same kind of stuff.
I mean, I wonder with that if we'll get I think because I don't think this has ever been answered, the idea of how the Sundering split things, if it's like just planets in space or if it's like weird universe traversal or whatever. So maybe like if this thing can shoot us to the moon, why can't we like, you know, take the giant crank, aim the cannon a little to the right and then like hit the fourth or something, you know, like maybe that's what they want to do. I don't know. But yeah, I'm curious how Ystola's stuff is going to tie in with this, with her research into traveling between the shards, because we have that line in the trailer where she talks about it, but then we see Alpha and Omega, and we know that there's going to be quests, you know, for Beyond the Rift, which that would make sense too for that. So there's just so many things that could weave together, and I'm really curious to see kind of how stuff gets split up and with all the different stories they're doing. Yeah.
After the story's all wrapped up, you're like, what the heck do we do now? And there's this, for me at least, there was this moment of, how can they possibly top what I just did? But I'm really excited to see what's coming next, so I'm very hopeful.
Yeah.
There's so much stuff in that one trailer. Then there's that shot too of like Grahatia walking with like the Warrior of Light and like dissipating into like light particles. I'm just sitting here like, what is going on? I'm so ready for it, whatever happens. But like, There's a lot coming up to be excited about. And I mean, everything from the 24-mans, the little previews that we got there, to everything with the story, to the bonus content. I mean, I'm even kind of excited about the rework with PvP. There's just a lot of good
And
stuff
Yeah.
coming in
and let's
6.1.
let's
Freaking
not
weirded out about being excited about PvP.
and let's not forget the fact that it looks like Hildebrand's appearance in the Heroes Gauntlet is going to be canonical with his new quest story. Like, that's fantastic. I
know.
love that was what they showed for Hildebrand in that trailer. I'm like, yes,
Yes,
we
yes.
need
I
to
mean, I've seen
know.
chat people talking about, the realm of the 12 and stuff like that. It is very likely that some of those shots may be things like that, right? We don't actually really know exactly what these heavens are either. Are they like trans-dimensional planes that the ancients used in some way? Because, we know that they had these civilizations built up in the sky. We know that they're, are they heavens in that sense? Are they heavens in that they are some other space, pocket dimension? Are they, I don't know. I'm just really curious to see how all these things come together.
Yeah.
I love that apparently Graha is coming with us, and it's like this is going to be our first big scary adventure with things that we don't know about, and we get to take him with us. He finally gets his little dreams to come true.
So a quick recap here. What's coming up in patch 6.1? We know we're getting new main scenario quests. We're going to be getting the new side quests series Tataru's Grand Endeavor. We're going to be getting that additional storyline for role quests. We'll be getting the Arcasadara tribe quests. These will be for battle classes. That was it. They have hippos.
Yeah,
I guess that they
like the hippo
they
chariots.
feed and bathe, and then the hippos like pull little like chariots. That's like the mount is like this little hippo like
They're so
chariot
cute. And there's
cart.
that part of the trailer too where you see the like race
They're like
start with the cart.
racing. Yeah, they're like, no, we don't need chocobo races. We're doing
Yeah.
hippo races here.
It's very good. We do know now that Tataru's quest has been delayed apparently to 6.15, so it'll come out just a little bit after 6.1. But
Yep.
I mean, I again like they are doing these side quests and additional things. So like Tataru's quest, I'm really curious if that's gonna have something to do with just being like a fun side story wrapping up Tataru's thread, or if it's going to have to do with kind of like touching base with all the different scions, or they said I think during the live letter that it just didn't feel quite coherent playing through it alongside all the stuff that was happening in the main story, which is why they wanted to sort of stagger the release a little bit so that you would kind of follow up with it. And then yes, these Arcasadra tribe quests, they look really fun, and I love the little mount. And then they showed off a bunch of other mounts too while they were like on that page. Some other ones that I was
there
excited
was
to see.
a new like kind of T-Rex type of thing.
Oh, that's in the mountain in Dravania.
Yeah.
With the weird double fangy face.
Yeah.
And then they had the like bird with the antlers from Elpis.
Oh, that's
I
where that
really
was from.
want.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
What
Yes, I
else?
wanted that one so bad.
Trying to think. There was at least one more. I'm drawing a blank. The pod,
the
yeah.
pod mount.
Yeah. The near pod mount. I'm thinking that might come from like running the raids and getting the coins and stuff, because they usually add stuff like after the fact where it's like if you run the raids and have that currency and then you can buy stuff.
What
And
if it's from finishing that final quest thing that doesn't give you anything?
That
Oh
would
my
be
gosh.
weird to add that now,
Maybe.
but-
To answer a couple questions, this could be inaccurate. The Tataru's quest delayed to 6.15 was information from a translation on the balance. So like there is a different translation of what they were talking about that said it was delayed to 6.15.
So what we do know for sure it is 6.1x. So at some point before 6.2, Arcasadara tribes will be 6.15. Hildebrand will be 6.15. Omega Beyond the Rift will be 6.1x. New custom deliveries NPC, we're gonna get Emilia's Levier 6.15. Then we're also gonna get that duty support system for the ARR dungeons, so you can go in with some NPCs and do those. Rook's like shaking her head.
Well, no, because they changed apparently. Unless this is just that they've only changed it for the core game, they've changed trusts to duty support. Like that's the new name that it's going to be. And I don't know how I feel. I don't know how you both feel.
Well, they still have the
trust system's
the
there.
trust
It's just
system
like
is
the
there as
specific part.
so largely now what we've been mostly using as the trust system is duty support, but the aspect of where you have the characters that you can level up, that's still the trust system. That's still
But
there.
like
That's
hopping
so
into
confusing, though.
well,
What do you
hopping into
mean?
like level 15 to Sastasha with the randos, that's a duty support. You don't
Why aren't they all
necessarily
just called trusts? Like,
Well,
you
you
know
Well,
don't
what I
necessarily
mean?
so
level those. Those you can just take in with you whatever
yeah,
dungeon you
so
make it
But
so
to.
they could
so
still just be,
Gold
they
Star
could
I
just
in
mean, they
be,
could.
the chat makes a point. If you've ever done any of the leveling of the trust and stuff, and you'll take in and you know, because you can unlock like different like costumes, like you can get like the older costumes for them if you level them up to 80. um they are like, if I have Urianger and I get him to 80, I can get his like Heaven's Word outfit or whatever. And then well, actually he's probably more of his ARR. But anyway, like instead of being named Urianger, then he's like Urianger's avatar. So it still fits in line with that idea that maybe it's magical based somewhat, kind of like it was in 11 where you would like summon the trusts. So I think it still works. Is it a little confusing? Yeah, probably.
Scion Eggies.
But I think
I mean,
the way to think
I,
of it is trusts are things you can level up, and then duty support are just like the static NPCs that you can take into the
yes,
content.
I like comprehend the difference. My main complaint on it is just that, like, we already have so many things that are so like bizarrely minutely named in weird ways within 14, right? Like
Okay.
the fact that we'll have squadrons, duty support, trusts, like there are all these weird, like extra bonus little bizarre names. And sometimes it is because like they are trying to justify some like really specific lore component. But other times I feel like it is just so confusing to like explain to people, or like for new people who are like, I don't understand. Isn't just duty support trusts? Like, no, okay, it's different. But then like why does this, like, but it falls under the same umbrella. But it would function the same way if I use them,
I
so I
gotcha.
can play the original game, but it's not like I'm using trust, but I'm using like duty support for it. So it's like, to me it's one of those weird things where like even if they function differently, I feel like 14 sometimes needs to group things better under umbrellas. And like, you know, if this is going to be essentially, because it fulfills the function of a trust, right? Although obviously they may expand trusts down the road, and those trusts, like the real trusts, may be able to be leveled in certain ways. But it seems to me like you could just as easily put duty support into trusts and then just say, like, have on the thing, you know, this is a level capped trust, it is a realm reborn only, or something, you know, like
I
it could
actually
just
think
be
of
that.
it like the reverse of that, where trusts are a component of duty support, but then you can level them up. I totally get where you're coming from, but yeah, I'll be really curious in the future if they do anything between duty support and trusts where they kind of like absorb NPC squadrons, because it's all very similar, but they're also very different things right now. So I'm curious if those will get any kind of like a revamp or something for that. Um,
I would
we'll
love
see.
it if they took the squadron part out of having to level up your rank in your
Mm.
grand company.
I
I
mean,
hate that part.
seriously though, like they could honestly just tie the like new duty support stuff or whatever, right? To like, if you get, I don't know, you run X amount of dungeons with them or something like that, then that takes you to the next rank. Because it really seems like at this point with squadrons, can they continue to keep like simultaneously also making, you know, like here's the next dungeons that you can run with your squadrons? Yes, but it feels again like very weird redundant work when they are already working so hard to try and like make Heaven's Sword now compatible with, you know,
Right.
NPCs and so on and so forth. So it does seem like, again, unifying all those systems, and if they put all of them under the umbrella of something like duty support and then kind of streamline what they do, that's fine. It's just that I think like unifying old systems and making them coherent and like falling in line is really key, especially for the growth of the game, where like, yeah, there are these weird things that you have to kind of go out of your way to figure out
I
now, or that like
Yeah.
is just not understandable easily to new
I
players.
also do wonder if something like NPC squadrons is at this point, right, kind of just like grandfathered in, for lack of a better term, right? Because we do have things like guild hests that have just been around forever. Should they have like taken guild hests and kind of put them in like Hall of the Novice stuff? Yeah, absolutely. But they haven't, because they're just there, and they're like, it's here, we'll leave it. And in that same kind of regard, I feel like Like, when was the last time anyone was like super hyped about like Grand Company rank ups? Like, even the last time they added them, they're just like, oh, okay, we could rank up, and you get like a couple emotes or so. It's not really like big content, you know what I mean? Like, it's just kind of like a thing that's there.
I wouldn't say I was hyped about it when we had to do it. I definitely was like, all right, I'm going to do this every day. I want to get this done. I know there are people that enjoy that type of content. I do not. But saying that, I think there is a place for it, but I think it's in a place where you don't have to do it.
Yeah,
Right.
and I mean, I honestly, when I originally leveled them, it's because I wanted those unique gear sets, right? And it does feel like if they wanted to, I mean, if they like kept making those rewards more valuable, if they made it too so that like you didn't have to be repping that company in order to wear like the specific gear, if they
Ugh.
like added additional like little achievements or things like that, even for just like maxing out all of the grand companies and helping out around the world now that, right, like a lot of those boundaries are being broken down and we have the grand company of Eorzea. Like, it feels like they could do something there and even like add, if they felt like it at some point, additional kind of region themed gear sets to those to like incentivize people to again either run with like the core, you know, duty support or I mean, yeah, it's funny because it does feel like while it's kind of a cool little thing, a lot of that system I think has either needed to be like really updated for a long time because oh my gosh, it is so confusing even when you get in there to do those final squadron levels and you're like, why do I fail every mission I send them on? It's like no matter what I try to do,
Yep.
it is so difficult to figure out what is happening and how you improve and what gets better, and there's such a limited number of things to run with them. It feels like something that could again, yeah, we could still have this for the future and have it be fun side content and have it even facilitate, you know, some of that immersion, but rework it a bit so that it falls in line
Yeah.
with everything else a little more.
I mean, there's even still there's the gear that you can get from the Grand Company NPCs where you can get like a buff thing from it. What was it? Was that Sanction? Was that the name of it? Where it's like if you have this thing cast on you, like you get a little bit of like extra stats from this like Grand Company gear.
I always mix it up with the 11 one.
I
It's
do
Sanction or
too.
Sigil or
Sigil, yeah.
something
It's like the
else.
weirdest little thing, and like nobody even probably knows that it's there. It's like just redo all those items. Like just yeah, I think that
It's
needs
not
some work.
useful. It's
Yeah.
really not. They've given us so much other stuff that does that same job better. There's no point to it.
Yeah. But anyway, going back to what we're actually getting. Uh,
Yeah.
we're going to
Attentions.
get improvements to the ARR main scenario quests. So again, we'll have that duty support for our Rom Reborn stuff. And there's also going to be some revisions to Cape Westwind and later duties. We know they're going to be splitting up Praetorium a little bit. They also, we saw during the live letter, they've changed Toto Rock as well, which we knew they were going to make like what we thought were just minor alterations. They were like going to remove the weird like little poisony slow patches or whatever. But they've like redone the whole thing, which is wild to me. It makes me wonder if they're going to be doing changes to some of the other stuff. We know Hawk Manor is going to get a little bit of a tweak for that return thing from the basement. But like, are they going to like rework Darkhold a little bit? It's I think a lot of it is kind of like that 1.0 dungeon stuff where the you know, dungeon design was different back in 1.0, but then when 2.0 hit, Toto Rock and Darkhold were still kind of like all right, not linear paths, where do we go?
I think you could say of 2.0 in general that it's still very different from stuff we even got
That's
in
fair.
3.0.
Yeah.
I kind of miss that the way they used to do dungeons, to be honest. I felt like there were little side things in the dungeon itself that showed up way more often that were kind of little interesting mechanics. But
they did have some cool
also
stuff.
sometimes you just want to go in and get the dungeon done and get out.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I
And I mean,
get it.
like we used to be
Yeah.
able to do like get like time bonus chests in 1.0 dungeons. Like that was a thing. Bard using Peloton like to get extra gear.
Yeah, this definitely is a good change. I mean, it's funny, we were harping on squadrons and stuff, and I was like, duty, you know, like the duty support thing and all these things. But like they are making so many other changes that have been so important to have. Like talking about again, codifying or unifying types of content. in a way that creates like a linear throughput experience for players, because that is something that's so important, especially as you push through this first development cycle for an MMO, and one that had such a rocky precedent with like the design mentality of something like 1.0 and how that content has shifted so drastically. So making everything kind of fall in line in a way that characters and players know what to expect as they play through this. They know what types of content there are. It is a little sad, I agree with you, Zen, in that it's fun to have the idea of dungeons to be like exploratory, and that there could be opportunities for like little puzzles and all kinds of little things, or little side content or little vignettes that you could explore. And unfortunately, as it is, like with the repeatable nature of dungeons and the, you know, roulettes that we have and stuff like that, it just doesn't really function that way. So like making stuff fall in line in this way is so nice. I never expected that they would make Totoroc a linear dungeon,
And
but
I
I
think a lot of
honestly
it
think
too
this
is that
great.
AI for the trust or the duty support system now too, is that having that kind of freedom just doesn't work well with those AIs, is what I would guess.
I didn't notice. Did they take the little like lights? You have to collect lights to open up
Well,
the
so we didn't
portals?
get too far into
Okay.
into Totoroc, but I didn't see any. What we did see
Oh.
is they really kind of opened it up a little bit. There's actually a really cool part where like there's light coming into the
Yeah.
cave. The map is definitely like the sections are like wider. It's not as kind of narrow. Um, so yeah, they
Gonna be
really changed a
weird
lot.
the
I'm
first time we
curious to
get
see the whole
that.
thing.
Like the first time you get that in a roulette or something, you're gonna be like, where the hell? Oh
I don't
right.
even think I'm gonna wait for Rillet. I might just straight up run it when the
Yeah.
patch hits. I'm really curious to see what they've done with it. We will get a new dungeon. We know this looks like it's probably gonna be in the bounty and tied a little bit to MSQ stuff. I think this is gonna be what we see in the trailer with Estinian handing us that map. It looks kind of like an underwater dungeon. It's given me some Alzadal vibes from 11, which is like that was what I was hoping for. We talked about this.
Yeah.
And yeah, they're
I hope we get
I
the
can't
creepy
wait.
music.
Oh, that'd be so good. Yeah, I
It
can't wait
looks
to see.
really cool. I like I am such a big fan of anything that is, I don't know, treasure adventure. Like obviously there are some issues and or larger discussions that have had to be had recently about things like, I don't know, Tomb Raider or Indiana Jones, when it comes to especially, I guess, kind of the glorification of going into other countries and taking their important historical relics. But the idea still of having like treasure adventures, of those kinds of like explorations to discover lost, you know, hidden relics and all kinds of things, it still just totally delights me. So I know a lot of people were hoping for some of that like explorers feeling,
Hmm.
that new, you know, new adventures, and this dungeon definitely gives me that.
Yeah, I love in the trailer how you see like the map of the area, and then it totally plays like not Pirates of the Caribbean music. So it's definitely giving off that kind of adventure vibe. I think it'll be really cool. Um, we're gonna get the Minstrel's Ballad and Singer's aria, so that's gonna be the new extreme version of Trial for this patch.
Prepare to get squashed.
It will give 2 totems. It will be hard because it's the final boss. Like it's gonna be hard. Um, we're gonna get Ultima's Bane Unreal. That'll be the new Unreal Trial. And then we'll have Mists of the Realm Part 1. So this is the 24-man. We're gonna be fighting some of the 12. It looks really cool. I don't know if I'm crazy about the gear. I know Rook loves the gear.
This is the most beautiful gear I've ever seen with my eyeballs, Fusion. You mean you're not crazy about the gear? I
I'm not
mean,
crazy about that. Well, to be fair, like it's very, it's
okay,
like
you're wrong.
pandemonium gear adjacent, kind of, where it's like the
I
pandemonium
really
gear, but then
wanted
they
it.
slapped like some like armored gold gauntlets on it, which is
That I
fine.
also can't
Some
get
people
enough of.
love that aesthetic. I'm with Gold Stars in the chat. He says too much pea yellow. Yes, the armor is very gaudy looking. It's just not
Well,
my
they were saying
aesthetic,
they were
and that's
saying it was
fine.
going to be different in different light too. So it could be that that's sort
Mm,
of the like weird thing that's hard to represent without any kind of lighting. We
maybe.
can hope. I
Yeah.
was really hoping to get versions of the gods' outfits. So while I'm looking at the stuff, I'm like,
Hmm.
that's all right. That's okay. That's not what looks like they're wearing
Well,
though. But you know what?
we
Maybe
do
maybe
have
it's
that.
dyeable, and when we get in there, it'll be great. Maybe it'll be great.
There is that PvP gear based on the 12. That's like one of
No.
my least favorite sets ever
Nope.
made.
You know what? The Ocean set is great,
Mm.
but
Yeah. I mean, we might see something like that in the later tiers. I agree. It would have been really cool to see that. I assume this is probably because somehow this ties into ancients and, shenanigans. So that's
Sure.
why
fair.
they're sort of
Yeah.
theming it. I personally do love it, but I'm sure it'll be dyeable as well. We can only hope that like maybe
The freaking the cape, the like see-through cape, that's pretty. I like
it's
that.
so
It's a
pretty,
cool
isn't it?
touch.
I love
Yeah,
that.
just the rest of the
Um,
gold and not for me, and
I'm
that's fine.
thinking I'm thinking in game the reflections on that are gonna greatly enhance what we saw in the pictures.
Oh,
Yeah. I'm
fingers
also
crossed.
really excited about Endsinger's aria, honestly.
Yes.
Because like the original fight in just like the normal version is very cool. It's very beautiful. But it definitely felt like one of those fights to me where I went, this could have more. I was like,
Mm.
given the like place that this has in the story, I was like, this feels like they left room for this to be taken to a whole nother level, which of course we know that they would with Extreme. And Yoshida-san, at least from what I know of the translation, was saying there that basically like where the normal trial kind of leaves off and like ends, this one is supposedly going to expand on and like pick up from there in some sort of way, and that it'll be very hard even from the start. I think I've heard people kind of comparing some of what he said to like a Savage difficulty, and
Yeah.
I am genuinely like really I'm excited for that because I don't know. I feel like if you have those really important fights, granted, like you have to take into account that you have to farm this for amount, but like given its position in the story, the narrative, the epic scale of that, I want to feel like this is the battle to end all battles,
Mhm.
So I'm actually really looking forward to it.
Yeah, and I mean, and like all Extreme trials too. Like if you don't get to it right away, that's fine. It'll be a little bit easier in a couple patches. Like it's how all of these
Man,
go.
I just know that the falling planets, they're gonna come back with a vengeance and murder us a lot. But that's okay. It's gonna be
All
fine.
right. We'll get through it together. It's going to be okay.
We will also get in 6.11 the Dragon Songs Reprise. That's going to be the new ultimate. We saw just like 2 seconds at the end of the trailer with Thornton. And we've
I
seen
had a friend who was like, wait, why is he at the end of the trailer? I'm like, have you been under a rock?
Well, I mean, it's actually really funny that you said that because
Yeah.
I saw somebody else tweet something that was complaining and they were like, "Oh, future Final Fantasy looks really dark. Trailer just has a bunch of reused stuff and like, ugh, Thornton again." And I was like, "Hold on." I was like, do we all know that Ultimate is happening? Like, do people know this?
they're revamping the old content, and that's why they were showing it. And it's not actually the same content. If you use your eyeballs, you'd notice that there's NPCs with the player.
I know, which is funny because I do think maybe that is one spot in their marketing that as far as these trailers go, they probably could stand to be a little bit clearer on. Like, especially as we have a whole new audience coming in that started playing the game.
Mhm.
As a player of 14, this doesn't even dawn on me. I see Thornton at the end and I'm like, oh, that's right, Ultimate coming. But we have all these people like, I don't get it. He was in heaven sword. And I'm like, okay, fam. Like, so it feels to me as though like
Oh,
more so than ever right now in games, right? Visual media is massively consumable and oftentimes is the way that many people will take this in. And I think even just having a little thing there that's like the new ultimate challenge and it, shows up like they've
yeah.
done that in other forms, but I can see I was surprised there was confusion, but there was. So like
Yeah.
it's
We
interesting.
are very on top of things, and
Yeah.
there's a portion of the people.
It's like we talk
people
about it
even
every
slightly
week, and we
interested in
like
this game.
need to
Yeah.
know things.
Yeah,
I mean,
And
it's
who aren't on top of things like we are. So
yeah, it's one of those things where, yeah, like it wouldn't hurt to have just like a quick as they show some stuff, be like new main scenario quests.
I'm sure that's why they threw it after the like. Here's the date. End of the thing. Just kidding. Here's Thornton. Be scared.
Yeah,
Yes.
but it's one of those things too where I mean they definitely take that kind of like cinematic approach with their trailers as well. And I think if you added that kind of text, helpful though it may be, I think it would also kind of take away from that a little bit. So it's that weird kind of balance of like, how are you wanting to present this as like a cool trailer, or are you wanting to present it as, here are the things we're adding in the patch?
I could see them almost getting away with splitting it into two, right? Like having a trailer that was specifically like, here is the story trailer for this patch, and here is like the features trailer. Of course, I guess that takes a little more work. Granted, like the edits, I think they could, edit it cleverly in both ways so that it wouldn't be like they were massively having to do some sort of huge production, either way. But I do think even just having that text that pops up that says like, looking for the ultimate challenge, and then like here's, Thoradin, and it pops up or something.
Mm-hmm.
Because again, like those cues tend to help people. They lead people through like the package of what's being delivered. And of course, it's on also all of the players, and especially new players, to like understand what's happening. And I think 14 does a great job with communicating in many ways. But it is just an interesting point. I'm glad you brought it up, Zen, because like I think there will be confusion about that. And especially for players who may have just played through the whole game for the first time because of Endwalker, like they don't really know how all this stuff is oftentimes delivered. So like to them, it could very much just look like watching that trailer. Like I don't understand why like half of this stuff
Was that an accident? Was that on there?
Yeah, like it's all just
What you need to do is on the end of the trailer, just tack on visit gamerescape.com for more information. And then they can read our little outline and they'll see, oh, it's an ultimate.
Yeah, I'll just throw a quick email over to Yoshida, be like, hey, if we can
yeah, that'd be helpful. I am excited though, because Yoshida-san did say during this section that apparently Dragon Song, at least they believe, right, that it will be unexpectedly difficult. Super hard. So I can't wait to see the like world's first on that, and as people start getting into it and figuring it out more longer term too.
Yeah. Darko Pops in the chat says, was Thoradin's music different and more epic in the trailer? Yes, they're using the orchestra concert version of that battle theme in the trailer. So usually when they do ultimates, they'll have, I mean, they do so many different arrangements of the music in this game now, with between the primals and the orchestra concerts, and then there's Keiko's piano arrangements. So yeah, they always try and bring out some of the fancier arrangements for when they do these battles. So please look forward to that. Let's see where we at here. Job adjustments. There's a lot of job adjustments coming in. We don't have every single one. Yeah. But machinists,
and even the ones they gave us, we don't have all the details on all those jobs.
Yeah. So what we do know, machinists will have the potency of multiple actions increased, including Heat Blast, Wildfire, and Drill. Samurai, to resolve issues with fluctuating DPS from critical hits. Midgar, Setsugeka, Kaishi Setsugeka, Oji Namakiri, and Kaishi Namakiri will now be...
I'm sorry, Samurai. Are you aware of the existence of Bard, who's had that problem forever and still does? Get over yourself.
But they're a selfish DPS, and you don't understand. They're selfish. They will now be guaranteed critical hits. To reduce action bloat, Hisatsu Kaiten has been removed. And in accordance with that change, action potencies have been adjusted. For Ninja, to improve synergy with other jobs, Mugs recast will now apply a debuff to enemies that'll increase the damage they take from party members, and that'll be on a 120-second recast. Trick Attack has been changed so that it'll only increase personal damage dealt to target, and then with that they'll be adjusting potencies again. Dark Knight.
I was going to say really fast.
Yeah.
I'm kind of sad about Trick Attack.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand why they're doing it. I think they want to bring it more in line with the other melee and try to do something with melee where, like, they aren't party buffers. But then it's also kind of strange because, like, Reaper technically has a little bit of variety like that. I don't know. It's interesting. I always really liked that Ninja could help, like, bolster its allies' efforts. Granted, it's unfortunate because at different points it does feel like maybe the reason that Ninja would be brought was because of the party-wide boost with Trick Attack, and like planning around that became a big thing. So I guess I'm just like, I'm a little nervous. I'm a little bit nervous to see like what happens with that, because I hope they adjust enough that it's still, I mean, no matter what, you can play it and have a great time with it. I think Ninja's a great class. It doesn't matter, right? If you're going to be in high-end endgame,
if you want to play Ninja, play Ninja. Nobody's going to stop you.
Do it.
But like, it does make me, I don't know. I guess because I love support so much, I do just get a little bit nervous. I guess again seeing them continue to narrow down support options and what support does in the game, as opposed to like
Yeah.
really working to try to expand it. But I mean, there are a lot of adjustments in this list that are so good, including a lot of the Dark Knight stuff you're about to touch on. So
Oh, this Dark Knight change is so good, and
it's
we've been
good.
talking.
It's so
We've talked about this several times since Headwalker launched.
The Dark Knights, they are pleased.
To
It
improve
was a good solution too, but now tell us what
survivability
it is.
when using Living Dead, the effect of Walking Dead will now restore HP by a significant amount upon successfully landing attacks.
That's a good solution, I think. Granted, I don't play
Sages
Dark Knight,
everywhere
but
have
it
breathed a
just
sigh
seems
of
like a
relief.
really good. Yeah,
I love this change. I'm so happy about the change. And it doesn't feel like they had to compromise the kind of flair of Living Dead too much either. You know, it
Yeah.
does still have that punishing quality. And then you're like dealing out damage to essentially heal yourself a bit. But it helps just create a little bit of breathing room. Like, again, it wasn't a huge world ending deal. But like, as it was with Dark Knight, groups did have to kind of plan around it a little bit more. You know, especially if you're doing any raiding white mages. And I know because I made white mage, we're pretty much on glorified benediction, Living Dead, you know, duty. Like,
Yeah.
it's one of those things where sages, like you were saying, in dungeons, a small percentage of the time, but still a percentage, would find it really hard to heal that up in time, depending on what they'd already used and the context of the pulls. So like, this is awesome. I'm really glad.
Yeah.
It still feels cool. It still feels like it falls into the lore, but like, it will be a little bit easier to deal with.
Yeah, that'll be nice. Dragoon shortened the animation lock for jump actions. I feel like every couple years, like this is a patch note. Like they're just
Yeah.
constantly shortening the
just
jump
make it this
lock.
short before.
Yeah, like I'm like this seems familiar. I think we've had this before. For Summoner, Searing Light will now be cast directly from the Summoner instead of Carbuncle. I didn't even realize that that's how that worked. Now I know, but it doesn't matter
I
because
mean,
I'm changing it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's good because if you don't have Carbuncle out, where would it come from? Now you can use it whenever you want? Question mark. That is to say, sometimes Carbuncle turns into the other summons, you know. So
Yeah, it's a little weird.
Yeah, Carbuncle is an unfortunate little hangnail that like exists.
Carbuncle's
and
just grandfathered in. He's like guild tests and sigil. He's just kind of
It's
there.
cute. It's cute and
Seems like-
iconic. You know what I mean? But it does feel, and I'm not upset about it because like I do feel like Summoner plays more intuitively now. It falls much better in line with the thematic feel of the class. I think that adding in some more complexity in future expansions with Summoner, adding in some more
Potency.
intricacy and potency would be great. But it is kind of unfortunate because it was designed to be a pet class, but like it's not really a pet class anymore. You know what I mean? And
Mhm.
that's okay. But it is one of those things where like Carbuncle just kind of exists. Like Carbuncle just kind of vibes.
Yeah, I mean, and you know, and we kind of touched on this concept earlier when we were talking about the dungeons, right? With some of the design of the 1.0 and earlier 2.0 dungeons, where early Final Fantasy 14 definitely tried to experiment more with just their designs in general, but then over time, players optimize their playtime, right? They figure out what's the easiest or quickest way to do things, and then the game as a reaction to that helps to support that. And so that's basically what we saw with Summoner. It's like, hey, we'll have like a pet class and it'll be linked to Scholar, and it'll be this weird kind of like shared thing, and it'll be neat, it'll be something different. And then people are like, well, yeah, but nobody wants to micromanage the pet and do all this. They're like, okay, we'll just give you the attacks and stuff, and here we are.
Yeah.
So.
I see a little bit of discussion in chat, like, by making this change for Dark Knight with Living Dead, does this mean that White Mage has received a roundabout nerf, if you will?
No.
And I
No.
I mean, the thing is that I think there's a real difference between something being needed or being picked purely because like another class has some sort of weird finagling thing that you have to do, and like something having its own actual characteristic strength, right? There are a lot of places that I use Benediction as a white mage, to be honest. And I do think it is one of the absolute strongest single healing abilities, right? And we've even been progging or working through Savage currently, right? Like there are times where like a mechanic's about to come up, you need to get somebody to full immediately. They have just been rezzed or something has just happened. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So using it in those situations can oftentimes be make or break. But do I think that it's really a nerf to be like, well, now we won't require a white mage to pair with a dark knight because it has this one hyper specific ability? Does it mean that they need to readjust and look at how these classes shine individually? Yes. Like, but again, I don't think that white mage's versatility or usability should be based off of a hang up another class has. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like, to me, it's like if that class has a strength and its strength is its healing potency or like immediate massive heals, then that needs to be built around in the class as a strength that it can stand on its own. And then content needs to be designed in which that class will shine in its own way, just like with every other class. So, no, I don't think this is a nerf. I think we may see some comps change maybe because of it or have more flexibility to choose. But at the same time, it's like, they should be balancing in a bigger picture than that. So
Yeah, I mean, I think the way you put it, yeah, ultimately this is just going to give you a little bit more flexibility if you have a Dark Knight tank. It's just the Dark Knight's able to kind of help with that healing, and you don't, if depending on if you're progging or something, your healer may have already used their oh shit button, right? And so it makes it a little easier, and I think it's fine.
And this Dark Knight change, all the Dark Knights out there were like, we're good. It's good still. We're doing a good job. But like, why didn't we get anything cool? Now you did. Pat yourself on the back, feel better, move on.
Speaking of white mage, the effect radius of Cure 3 and Asylum has been extended to 10 yalms.
Don't cry. Don't cry. Don't cry.
thank you, Yoshida-san. Thank you, Final Fantasy 14. At last. I'm so
and
happy.
Rook's Day has been made. Liturgy of the Bell can now be ended at will to restore an amount of HP dependent on the number of stacks remaining.
Which is how it should have worked to
Yoshida-san.
start with. It was
Yeah.
weird that you had to wait on that when Astro abilities you just end.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I think this just brings White Mage in line more with Ast. Like, I mean,
Mhm.
again, I think they both have different strengths. But yeah, it's like I had star envy so bad. You see that star go down, it covers the entire arena. We're over here raiding. Xenedra's like, please stand in Rook's bubble. Stand in
Touch in the
Rook's
bubble.
bubble.
Touch the bubble.
Why doesn't anybody like my bubble? Come stand in my bubble.
Oh my gosh. And plus
There
the
was
fact
even a point the other night where we'd all taken a little bit of damage. There were people like on the edge of the bubble, like, touch the bubble, and then like there was a mechanic coming up where we had to spread out. Stop touching the bubble.
I don't know
Like-
what you want me to do.
it was so overdue. Plus the fact that like from ages ago, the strength of what is it, Medica 3? Is that it? No, Cure. What is the one that they changed? I'm
Cure
trying to
3.
remember.
Cure 3.
Cure 3.
Because
Cure 3.
it's
Right.
so it'll.
Thank you. Yes, Cure 3. The potency of Cure 3, like it seemed like initially when White Mage was designed, they wanted to be like, this one's so strong, so the radius has to be so small for it. And then it's like the game evolved and changed, and you're going like, okay, well, this is just one tool in my kit. And there are not all that many moments where I can force everybody to pretty much stack directly
Yeah.
on top of me
Mhm.
to use this ability, with the exception of certain like burst damage or sustained damage phases where you
Yeah.
can
I'm
consolidate.
just thinking of that part during Living Liquid in
Yes,
the
yep.
Ultimate. Yeah, where it's like, okay, well, the tanks need to be far away, but close enough that they're going to get hit by Cure 3. But also, if they're that close, everybody else has to move away. So it's like very finicky positioning for everybody to get Cure 3, but also not get hit by the tank busters.
Yes, exactly. And it was a real hindrance. So like now that the healing kit and we have this split between shield healers and pure healers, like it was time. It was time to increase these. It's time to give White Mage more versatility. It doesn't have the buffs that Astrologian does. Again, all these classes, like they are well balanced, all things considered. And for the vast majority of content, these kinds of things, like it's not that big of a deal. But like, oh boy, is this gonna be nice! And being able to use liturgy and pop it at will. It's such a strong ability, and it's really good in highly niche, specific uses that they have started actually putting into fights, like to cater to that kind of ability. Or the one that Sage has, that's like the stacking, shields that you go through.
Yeah.
So it's again one of those things where in any other content, you just can't really use it reliably as a thing if you are not going to sustain damage or if you just don't have the time to wait. So this gives it that little extra bit, which is nice.
Yeah. For Scholar's going to get some changes too. The effect radius of Sacred Soil has been extended up to 10 yalms. And the effect duration of expedients granted by the action expedient has been reduced from 20 seconds to 10 seconds. So you zoom around a little less now.
Like thinking about it, those are going to be giant. The first time I see that, I'm going to be like, whoa.
Yeah.
I
The
guess
whole
it's
arena
sad
is
that
evolved.
going back to what Fusion's actually talking about, sorry. I guess it's sad that they've reduced the time on the sprint, but that was a very long sprint for in battle.
Mm-hmm.
It was ridiculously powerful. I mean,
It's very
we've
cool.
talked a lot about Scholar, and I mean, it's very strong and it's been performing just fine, right? But again, like I hope they do at some point a sort of thematic rework of it to some degree. But this ability, I think, ended up being very, very strong. So for a lot of the people that were like very hesitant, I mean, even myself included, coming into the expansion, I mean, this really did end up being something that, in particular fights, can give you a huge advantage. But it makes sense they had to nerf it, and I think it'll still be really good.
I mean, from a range DPS perspective, yes, nerf that, and also give it to me. I'm supposed to make people faster.
Yes, Peloton. It's very baffling to me that like they didn't just go ahead, even if it was a shorter timed version of it. You know what I mean? Like in combat, being able to use Peloton on those classes, it really does seem like that would give them a bit of a strength as well. So I don't know. Maybe they will at some point.
Yoshi, please.
That'd be nice. All right, so going down the list here, we're also going to get some new PvP stuff. This is going to be the new mode, Crystalline Conflict.
A lot of PvP stuff.
They really want people to do PvP, and I don't blame them for spending a lot of time on this. And we've talked a little bit about Crystalline Conflict.
Did we talk about the? Yeah, we did. Never mind. Sorry.
It's a long list. We talked a little bit about Crystalline Conflict before, but what it is, it's a 5v5. No role restrictions. It'll be you'll have options of casual, ranked, and custom matches that you can do, and then it'll match you with similar ranks if you do the matching. You'll have two teams with bases on opposite ends of the map, and you'll want to claim possession of a crystal that's in the center of the map. It's basically like a payload type of tug of war thing.
It's Overwatch.
Yeah. Whoever has the most players near the crystal, it'll start going towards your base. Whoever gets it to their end wins. It's pretty straightforward. With this, though, one of the biggest changes is that they're going to be adding series periods to PvP for a new reward system. So the way this is going to work is they'll have a series that'll change with every major patch. If you play any PvP mode, you'll earn series XP, and you'll be able to obtain rewards upon reaching a series level. So you do PvP, you get series levels, you get rewards each level.
And they did say that this would be regardless of wins or losses. So like literally you just play and
just do the content. If you suck at PvP, it's okay, you'll still get stuff. Individual matches will still continue to give XP, PvP XP, tomestones, and wolf marks. So the rewards you get now aren't changing. You're just getting additional rewards on top of what we were already getting. Then they have what they're calling series malmstones. So you'll raise your series level by earning series XP from PvP activities, and then when you level that up, you'll get a reward each time. In a lot of cases, this is going to be a new currency called trophy crystals that can then be exchanged for items in the Wolves Den. Certain malmstones will reward you with emotes, equipment, or adventure plate elements, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. When a new series begins, the rewards will be updated and your series level will be reset, but you'll still have your trophy crystal currency that you earned previously. They're also going to have ranked match seasons. The ranking tier and placement will be determined by the amount of Crystalline Conflict rank matches won during the season, and it'll determine the rewards that you earn at season's end. So it'll go by ranking rewards tier and then ranking rewards place. Rewards will include achievements, titles, adventure plate elements, and more.
And as was kind of being mentioned in chat, but then elsewhere, they did say that you can pick up rewards that you earned from previous series. But I'm not totally sure. I think there's maybe still a little confusion on this. Maybe either of you knows. Like, I don't know if you have to have played for sure that season and gotten like the specific currency, and then when that season is done, that will still like be available.
Well,
And you
the
can purchase it
currency is the
anytime, or
same. It's not like the currency changes every season. So the currency will be trophy crystals, for
But
all
they
the
did
PvP
say
stuff.
if you'd gotten currency in that previous season, that season's prizes would be around for the current season, and you could buy it for the duration of the current season. But once the current moved on to the next, the previous one would go away. So you have an extra
oh.
season to get the stuff from the previous one.
But do you have to have played at some point during the
It
previous season to still try and
seems
earn it?
like it. That's sort
Okay.
of what I got out of it, but
Okay.
translations being what they are.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, overall, I actually am really excited about this.
Yeah.
I have long
5-minute
thought,
Overwatch.
yes, it's like, well, one, the new mode looks super fun, and I enjoyed it in Overwatch, so I'm sure I'll enjoy it here. Two, I do think that having these series rewards, to me, it feels much more satisfying because, like, I always kind of wanted to sort of maybe try at some point to get some of the special gear sets, because there actually are some really cool gear looks from a lot of the competitive seasons that they previously did.
Hmm.
But the biggest thing for me was that, like, I just couldn't fully justify the time and energy that it would take to have to try and figure out competitive. And then knowing again that only like a tiny handful of people, even out of that, would even be able to get the gear regardless. It was like, I don't know. Like, I get that
Yeah.
this is how it works, but like at the same time, it's like if I'm gonna spend my time in game doing this, I want to like definitely get something cool for participating. So I like that they are just broadening it. Engage with PvP, play anything, have a good time, and you can earn the stuff from this series. Like, it'll encourage you to actually play during that period, which I think is a really smart move.
Yeah, and I think really the biggest issue that 14 has had with their PvP system is that, um, it's not that people don't play it, but not as many people do PvP as they do PvE content, and because of that, the queue times can be really long, and then that dissuades people from doing PvP altogether. So hopefully, with this new format, we'll have, even if it's still a smaller amount of people that are queuing for PvP. I mean, obviously, the new content will encourage more people to try PvP altogether. But having these shorter matches, 5v5, that queue will be going more, I think. And so I don't think we'll have as crazy long queue times as we've had in the past, because these previous PvP modes we've had, matches can go for like 20 minutes. And so it's harder for, that match to end and for people to go back into the PvP queue and you get in and all that kind of stuff. So I think this will help a lot. And I'm really excited. I'm
It's
excited.
been a while since I was like, oh, that PvP thing looks cool. And like with the 5-minute thing, is like, okay, well, this is gonna be real fast, and either I lose or I run real fast, and then regardless, I probably get a reward. So that's cool.
Yeah, and I mean,
And I like the Overwatch style play. It's just it kind of took a long time sometimes, and sometimes you're paired with people who were mean.
yeah,
It's true. And I hadn't really thought about that 5-minute time span, like you said, right? Like, now if you're looking at the game and you're going, okay, well, I've got 5 minutes until I have to go to work or something, or I have 5 minutes until I might need to go get my delivery food that's coming. And you're like, okay, well, what can I do in 5 minutes? So you're going, maybe I'll like farm some fates, or I'll go, I guess, like stand around this area and AFK, or like I could probably do like a quick trial roulette. We don't have a lot of stuff in the game that's like a guaranteed short time span. So I kind of like the idea of there being something that is like a bit more of a like, oh, hey, what do I got? 5 minutes? Okay, yeah.
even then, I think, not to bash you, but I think a lot of the stuff you listed too, that's going to take more than 5 minutes. Even a quick trial roulette,
Especially,
half an hour later,
if if the queue doesn't pop.
Yeah,
It's-
like if you're doing DPS or something.
Yeah,
It'll
I mean,
still apply
really,
to this,
the
but-
only thing that you're limited by here in terms of time is just how long it takes to queue in. But yeah, once then, it's 5 minutes. It's not like, oh, we wiped and we
no,
have to start
you know what?
again.
Part of the new PvP is roles don't matter,
Mhm.
so they're not gonna have to worry about that.
That'll help
either,
with the
'cause you
queue.
can all
Yes.
Yeah.
That's a big change too. I mean, the fact that they have made it so apparently healing abilities now will, I don't know if we were about to touch on this but like healing abilities now will consume MP. Every person will have some kind of like healing kit that they can use. I think Yoshida said that it would still be something where like those roles maybe have a bit of extra stuff for, that kind of plays along with their thing. So I'm assuming that like healers will probably have slightly more heals or AoE heals in addition to whatever they've got. But that they realized that there was like a hyper focus on certain roles within this particular game mode,
Yeah.
specifically healers, that like you show your face as a healer and you are likely going to be dead.
That's the one we
And-
need to kill first.
I
The
know,
healer.
and on one hand, it's like I kind of liked that because it was always fun to see what I could get away with and how cheeky I could be as a healer and like how much of a difference I could make before I inevitably got destroyed. But at the same time, it does, I think, make people who might only play a specific role feel a little bit less like, they're being forced to do something specific, right?
Mhm.
Like either they have to burn nothing but healers or they have to run for their lives and it's very high stress and it's just the worst. So like, I like that they are broadening it. I'm curious to see how that actually pans out. And yeah, people have talked about like some of the almost new abilities, it looks like White Mage has like a laser blast that kind of reminds me of Sage or something. I don't know. And I have no idea if we'd ever see any of those outside of PvP or if they are going to be like all new abilities in PvP. I have no idea, but
Yeah.
it
We'll
looks
see.
interesting, and I like these season rewards. And the level 25 Series 1 gear is awesome, and I dig it. It's very edgy, and I love that. I'm good with it.
So there's going to be changes to the rating system as well. There's a lot of PvP stuff they talked about. So between the tiers of bronze and diamond, there will be a maximum of 5 sub-levels called risers that players need to progress through. So rating progression will work as follows: bronze 3, bronze 2, bronze 1, silver 3, and so on. So that'll be a little different. And then again, too, they're going to be adding a crystal tier as well after diamond for that. Rising stars can be earned by winning ranked matches. So if you win a match, you'll gain 1 rising star. If you lose a match, you will lose 1 after a loss. When a match is won with 3 rising stars, you'll move up to the next riser, and then the number of rising stars will be set to 1. When a match is won at the highest riser of a tier, you'll move up to the next tier at the lowest riser, which will then set the rising stars to 1. So it's kind of confusing, but once you start doing it, I think if you're familiar with how kind of ranked tiers and stuff will work, it'll make sense. But yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot to take in. Again, crystals being added. You can reach crystal tier by reaching a winning match with 3 rising stars at diamond 1. In the crystal tier,
There's a lot of words and numbers.
it's a lot of ranks and tiers and risers. In the crystal tier, the ranking will be determined by the amount of crystal credit in your possession instead of rising stars, and credit is gained or lost
That's how you
depending
pay for Final Fantasy, right?
on the outcome
Crystal
of
credit.
match. Yeah, crystal credit. Yeah, so even with all this stuff too, once you'll have your stars, you'll have your risers, but once you hit crystal, you'll also then have credit, which is like it's almost like a whole new kind of system once you hit that max tier.
Merit points.
That would
Kinda,
be
yeah,
an-
that's a good way to put
that
it.
would be an incredible way to incentivize players to play ranked
Oh my
PvP.
god, we're just gonna
Can
give you
imagine?
Krista.
If you reached crystal tier, you could earn Krista. Like that would be unbelievable, and you could like pay for your sub that way. They wouldn't do it. They
They would
shouldn't do
never.
it, but
They would never.
a moment I was like, well, if they really want people to play PvP,
Their engineering and like server structure team are like, you want us to do what now? Yeah, they're gonna PvP and you're gonna give them money. PvP schedule. So the series will apply to all PvP content. If you do any PvP activity, you'll accumulate series XP and then you'll earn rewards through that. The seasons right now are only going to apply to Crystalline Conflict ranked matches. You'll play that during a season, and that'll determine your ranking tier and placement. So there's a lot there. In addition to all these the new gear that you'll be able to earn through your season, your series stuff, they're also bringing back the Garo event. Remember that? the event that they're
Yeah,
like, this is just
Hooray!
gonna be around forever, but then it wasn't. But then they're bringing it back.
it's around for a long time.
It was
Yeah,
It
around
was
there
for
was
a
funny
long
some.
because
time.
not the day before, I was on an alt and I'd switched to like a mage glamour. And I was like, I wish I'd gotten the dyed version of this. And the next day, Yoshi P is like, you can.
You can get it. There was some kind of licensing issue, I think, is what kind of turned up behind the scenes about this. That it seemed like their license or their deal had like run out and they had to renew it. So there was just like they were like, well, it's gone forever, but then they were able to make it happen again. They're like, oh, and it's back again.
It's good because that's
uh,
that's
Oh,
some very nice gear, and the
yeah.
mounts are really cool also.
yeah, and the one nice thing is that they did say that there's going to be new achievements, titles, and gear sets for Shadowbringers and Endwalker jobs. So the new jobs and stuff that we got, presumably, will have new Garo stuff with it. So
I assume that the
I don't know if
gear
it was
will
new
probably be
Garo.
the
I think
same.
they're just making it available for other jobs to wear because that restriction hasn't been like removed yet with the addition
I
of
mean,
new jobs.
on the actual Garo collaboration event return thing from the live letter, it says new achievements, titles, and gear sets for Shadowbringers and Endwalker jobs.
They say that. I think that like right now, like if you had like the aiming stuff, I don't think Dancer can wear it. So they're probably just adding Dancer to it. Would be my guess, but we'll see.
I'll log in right now. No.
I thought
Sorry,
that
I don't
I
know.
thought that was the case. I could be wrong, but I thought that was the case that they never got around to adding newer jobs onto it. But
I
anyway,
would think that they would leave them because previously the jobs did share them except for the weapons. So maybe they just mean the weapons.
maybe they're adding
We'll
new
see.
weapons.
We'll
Yeah,
see.
we'll find out. I don't think they specifically mentioned when the Garo event is coming back. But 6.1x we'll say. I
Something.
don't it'll be here soon. We're also gonna
Yeah.
have the new housing district in Ishgard open up. Oh boy, this will be a thing.
It's
Well,
gonna be
at
fine.
least
It's gonna be great.
honestly, there's a raffle now and stuff for it. It's like, again, I mean, we've harped on this so much. I feel like we don't even have to. It's just a bummer because it's kind of hard to even get excited about it at this point, I think. But knowing that, like, at the very least, people won't have to be sitting there clicking on a thing for a million billion hours, and that like when
Yeah.
this opens up on those on those servers where they have this like raffle system, you can at least wake up when you wake up, go to the place, put your ticket in, and then just walk away. That is an improvement. Is it the solution? No, but it is an improvement, and it thankfully means that this rush won't be as destructive on people's sleep healths, so
Don't you
Mhm.
have 4 days also? Like you have
So
4 days
yeah,
to
so here's how
apply.
this is gonna work. They
So
did
Yoshi P is like,
release
please sleep.
new info. Please sleep, but also wake up at 4 a.m. for the live letter.
yeah.
So the way that this is going to work is that the lottery cycle overall will be a 9-day cycle. So once the patch hits, they say here, from the release of patch 6.1 on April 12th to 7:59 a.m. on April 16th. So as soon as that patch goes live until the 16th, you will have time to enter a lottery for a plot. You'll be able to view the plot's placard and enter the lottery, and you'll receive an entry number. After that 5-day period, you'll have the results period. So the winning numbers will be decided, and the winners will have to claim possession of the land. After that, if nobody claims it, it resets 5 days to lottery, 4 days to claim. It's just over and over again until. Could you imagine winning a house and then not claiming it? Like, what?
That'd be the worst feeling.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Well, probably not as bad as losing a house, but close.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, especially to, oh my gosh, like, yeah, again, it's like, it's not a solution, right? Because there is that sense of, yeah, you forget to go back to claim it. But like, what if you have like a crisis come up? Like, what if you end up getting slammed at work that week? What if you get sick and you just can't log
You know,
in?
it's
What if
it's
you like,
interesting that you're posing these because I'm thinking like I don't want to wait 5 days.
I mean, yeah, what if you're just forgetful and you just don't you go back and double check it? Like,
Yeah.
again, it's not a perfect system. I mean, I think that as of the structure that we have right now, this is probably the best that we can do. But I mean, I do hope that they continue to like really seriously, like really take this seriously and try and decide what they want to do and if there's a possibility of instanced housing in the future or something,
Yeah.
because this is better, but it's still not like something that makes
Yeah.
true housing accessible to everybody.
Yeah, and I mean, and I mentioned this before. I think it's gonna go one of two ways for anybody that tries to get a plot. You'll enter it and you win, and this is the best system ever. I'm so glad they added it. You enter and you lose. This sucks. Housing is awful. Like that's just. I feel like that those are the only two reactions you're gonna get, and I really hope I'm not in that second group. But we'll see. Hopefully, everybody out there that wants to get a house, or a bigger plot, is fingers crossed.
According
We'll
to
see.
gamerscape.com,
Oh,
you can wear the different equipment on current jobs, like the new jobs that have been implemented.
oh, okay.
So
I thought that
don't
you couldn't.
know.
I thought that was the thing. I don't know. I might have been thinking of something else. Who knows? So yeah, there's also gonna be some new housing stuff they showed off. There's a cool like almost like a cherry blossom tree bed. There's like a
I don't know
jungle
whether I hate
gym.
this or it's the most gaudy thing ever.
Well, this is the amazing
No, wait,
thing. I
love
saw
or gaudy.
Yes. I saw somebody tweet about this, and apparently that was a fan design that was submitted in 2019.
Yeah,
And someone was like, "This was my design from
I saw that.
2019,"
I saw that. Yeah, that's really cool.
Great.
which was really cute. I mean, it's over the top, 110%. But like at the same time, knowing what people do with housing to create
Yeah.
some kind of canopy effect with those, or
Well,
like there's a ton of
it's
stuff you
you
can
know,
do.
That was my
we
first thought.
talk about
Well,
like how
second
you
thought.
see this thing, you're like, oh, all right, maybe not for me. Well, the new housing Glamour, it's like a giant candy house.
Okay, I do actually. So you think it's cute? I think it's hideous.
hate it?
I don't like it.
love
I'm not
I would
crazy about
never
it.
use it in 100 years, but I do think it's adorable.
It is cute.
Uh,
It is cute.
but no, my second thought upon seeing the cherry blossom thing, first obviously being, is this beautiful or terrible? Second being, I bet you could glitch that into a wall and make some really cool stuff.
Hmm. It's fun. It's fun. And even the candy house, I think that'll be very cute and festive, particularly around Starlight. And I mean, again, it's like
Yeah.
not every single thing has to be perfectly for you, but I just like
Yeah.
seeing a wide variety of stuff that's put in. And yeah, I really like a lot of the furniture that they kind
I
of were
I think
showing off and
that
everything.
that housing Glamour too. I think it had a little like an outside little like table and stuff too that you could sit at.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's like seasonal, right? Once November, as soon as Thanksgiving is over, you bust out the gingerbread Glamour. Okay, adventure plates. So we did mention these before. We're gonna talk a little bit more about them. They've mentioned these before. What are essentially going to be kind of like calling cards or like business cards almost for your character, for use in primarily I think PvP, but I think you might be able to look at them elsewhere. It's what they're gonna have. There's three parts that consist of these adventures plates. Right now they're calling it beta version. So I don't know if there's a lot of stuff
They
they're
they
still
said they
unsure
wanted
of, or-
feedback.
Yeah,
So they didn't quite finish everything because they wanted feedback. So they're gonna let us futz around with it for a bit and then see what we think.
yeah. So you'll
I
have
Oh
Go
no,
ahead.
go ahead. You
Go-
finish
no,
and then
no,
I'll jump in.
go. Just
No, I mean, all I was gonna say is that I love these. I think they're super cute. I actually, I mean, they mentioned starting out with them being used in PvP, and we saw with some of the PvP modes that,
Mhm.
like, your team, your little like portraits will
profile
pop
comes
up
up.
at the start.
Very freaking cute.
It's so cute and it's really clever. I mean, we were talking about things that they were kind of drawing inspiration from for these different modes, which is something that you absolutely need to do.
Mhm.
And a lot of those kinds of games, MOBAs or Overwatch or stuff like that, right, will have those kind of like character portraits that show up with the different poses or the different outfits that you've acquired or stuff like that. And in a game like 14, so many role players already have things like links to cards, which is like a type of website that you can make. Like,
Go onto
it's
the
just a
official
website template
forums and look
design.
in people's signatures. That's what they're
Yeah.
making in game.
So like to actually just include a facet of that, and you can pick little emote poses and stuff, I think it's actually really adorable. And anytime that you empower players to have more like personal expression, customization, and like ways to show off their characters to others, I'm like, this is actually a very good little feature. Not everybody will use it, but I think for many people they'll really enjoy it, you know.
Yeah. So the parts that'll make up these adventure plates, you'll have your profile, where you can display the times that you normally play, what your favorite jobs are, titles, play style,
Just fill in all of the times.
all of the
I'm
things.
always like,
I live here. You can also have your grand company rank, your free company name, and your search comment will appear in there as well. You'll also be able to take a picture, this is cool. You'll have a portrait section, so you can customize your portrait by selecting a pose, expression, lighting. It's basically G pose for this that they're having. And you can have multiple variations and switch between your favorites.
you could save
Whenever
like
you want.
100 or something like that, right?
I forget
I
how
think
many
you can
there
save
were.
100 different portraits.
And I
but
forget if did they say that these were saved server side or local?
I don't remember. I
don't
think you get
know.
20 to start during beta, but eventually you'll be able to save 100
Yeah,
different.
so there's a
little
lot of
portraits.
pictures you can put in here. There's also an option too where you can have how they say you can like list your job. There's an option to have it display whatever current job you're on, or if you have like a main, you can list that separately. So that's kind of cool. And then they also have plate design, so you can choose like the base plates, your frames, the tops, the borders, and all that kind of stuff. And so when you do PvP matches now, they showed with Crystalline Conflict, when you start, you'll see each like your team, and it'll show the profile picture from your adventure plate as like a team kind of thing. It almost reminds me. It almost reminds me
It's
of
like Overwatch.
an older like character select screen from like a Super Nintendo game or something.
Yeah,
Like
that
one of
too.
those
Like
old
a
like
fighting
yeah,
game
like one of the
or
old like Ninja Turtle games or something, where it's like, okay, which turtle do you want to pick? It's just like these vertical like portraits. So that's
it's
really
very
cool.
like MOBA-ish, where you have like these players on this team, these players on this team. It's almost exactly what it looks like.
Yeah. And so then you'll be able to actually earn more customization options. Those are going to be part of the series rewards, is what they're planning on. So I feel like, and I forget if they mentioned specifically or not, but it's like right now how if you have like a friends list, right, and you right click on somebody, you can kind of like view their information, right? I think this is kind of a way to more personalize that and make it a little more flashy and stuff like that. And I wonder if this will replace that in the future or not. But again, right, it is in beta, so they're looking for feedback and everything. So just try out the system and probably official forums. Let them know what you think of it. I think it looks cool. I think they're bigger than I thought they might be. But yeah, I mean, more customization. I mean, Glamour is the real end game, and now you can unlock Glamour for your like profile. So like, sure, why not? I think people will like it. So
I like it.
I
I
like
haven't
it.
even got to play with it.
Yeah. Let's see. We're also going to get the where were we on the list? Portrait editor. We'll be getting that. Unending Codex. Oh, they talked about this before. This is the like the book that'll help keep track of like NPCs
Sure.
and story
Your online
stuff.
lore book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like,
In-game
oh,
lore.
we talked about this. I know what this is. Data Center Travel 6.18. I cannot wait for Data Center Travel. I cannot.
It's gonna be really good.
We're
I mean,
gonna
it's just
our own PvP team. It's gonna be great. I don't know who the 5th is gonna be, but we'll figure it out.
look, I'm down. I'm down for that. It's just gonna be nice to have this freedom. And obviously it had to be delayed for reasons that are totally understandable. Just really looking forward to it being implemented.
Yeah. Some other additions that they're going to be having with patch 6.1. We'll be getting new game plus additions for 6.0 and some of 6.1. We'll have new Hrothgar hairstyles. They showed these off, and immediately Rook's face is just a sign of disgust and disappointment. Tell us how you really feel, Rook.
I just don't get it anymore. I don't know why they made these races. I'm gonna be honest. I really don't get why they made them. I I don't know. It's really awkward. It's really weird. And I already know many people who play Hrothgar or, who saw this and were, I really think, justifiably upset about it. There'll probably be some people who saw it and they were like, okay, whatever, and they don't care at all. Like, and that's fine. But I mean, like, here's the thing. I am genuinely so excited about patch 6.1. I really think a lot of the content and everything else and all the future of the game and all the other content that we're getting and everything and all these revamps, like, for any little critiques, I really think they are fantastic. But this felt like the biggest swing and a miss to me from this entire thing. And at this point, I love these races, but I wish they hadn't even implemented them into the game because it just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense to me at this point. Like, you designed these races. You made them. You constructed them this way. Like, it's not like somebody forced them to use these races and now they're just making the best of it, Like, they made them like this, and they cannot give players the features that everyone else has in this game. And, like, to me, that's a huge problem when you are one of the biggest MMOs out there that has one of the largest current subscription bases. You have one of the largest parent companies backing you. I'm sorry, we have a truck sitting outside my window that's doing like a beep, 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 beep in the distance. So if you can hear that, I apologize in the mic. But it's like, this is a huge company and they have all the resources and all the tools to release a race that works with their game, that is fully finished, that doesn't come out piecemeal, and that doesn't hack off parts of the actual race when you have other races in your game that have incredibly adorable little animations, little accommodations for their different, like, bodies and, racial traits. It's one of those things where, like, I'm not exactly sure what they were thinking when they chose to do this, but it just feels like it was a bad thought, and that at this point, like, to have implemented these races in a way that, like, it really seems like it is a huge issue for them to fix them, to give them the full features of other races. Like, these hairstyles look so awkward. They look so weird. Like, I just don't get it.
I mean, because we've, and I again, right, without trying to, like, repeat the speech, right, again, Yoshida is a very smart man. This is the stupidest thing he's ever done, is to approve these two races in the state that they were.
I'm on team April Fools. How could they not put the ears back on?
So here's the other thing, right? And I saw this in the chat, and I was debating on if I wanted to acknowledge it or not. People saying that it was an April Fool's joke, because when you look at these hairstyles that they showed, there are no ears on the Hrothgar. And we have talked about this at length with the headgear and stuff, where it's just like, just cut off the fucking ears. We don't care. Let us wear the damn hat. And they're like, okay, we can get you the hair, but we're going to have to cut off the ears. Okay, fine. Is it not maybe the greatest?
I think this is different, though. I'm sorry. You can finish and then I'll go.
Yeah. Does it look a little weird? Yes. But do they get the hairstyles? Yes. But this can't be an April Fool's joke. If it is in very poor taste. It wasn't conveyed as an April Fool's joke.
No, it doesn't. They didn't come back and be like, just kidding.
I think they're serious about it. And
prove it. I just want to be an optimist here.
It's rough because it's, we keep asking for them to do things with these races that all the other races have. And then they do something and we're like, yeah, we got them. It doesn't look great, but yeah, it's like a weird half victory. And it's just, I honestly, I genuinely do not know what Yoshida was thinking when they approved these two races.
Desperation.
Yeah. And it's tough because I see in chat too, like, don't blame them, blame player demand. I can't blame player demand. You know what I mean? Like, it would be one thing if somebody had kidnapped Yoshida-san and forced him to make these races.
Yeah, it's not player demand. There, at the end of the day, yes, players want it. Yes, Yoshida wants to give players what they want, but they have
You
the
have
final say in what they're adding to the
yeah.
game. And
I
these
mean,
were yeah.
they're a professional game development company, right? And so like if they scope out something and they are unable to do it, there are many other ways they can still give another facet of the community something that they want and realize it in a way that does work for their game. Or they can say to fans, we're really sorry we tried, but we realized that this isn't something that we could do, so we'll be developing a new unique race, right? But I don't believe that this was something, again, it's like they have all the skills and tools. They should feasibly be able to make races that will work in their game. And so it's just very odd. And I don't think this is an April Fool's joke because
No.
they made it very clear what were like the jokes of the stream. And Yoshida-san very seriously like takes the reputation of the game and the products and the things that they put out there very seriously. And if it was a joke, I think he would have made that painfully clear. Like, think about how many times he reiterated the numerical adjustments leading into
I think
Endwalker.
part of the
Think about, like,
problem here too, I mean,
yeah.
that there's discussion or confusion about this because of the way that they looked. That should be a giant ass red flag to like Yoshida and the dev team for this stuff. Like, people thought it was a joke. That's how odd it looks to people.
And like maybe it will be that when we get to the actual patch, they say like, oh hey, we were able to make the ears work or something. You know, like, and that's totally fine. Like, I absolutely like I again, it's one of those things where okay, that's all right. But this is really causing a problem. Like, it is really a strange, bizarre thing. And like Fusion, you said, oh well, we've been saying just chop their ears off. And I think it is very different when it's just gear, right? Because
Mhm.
gear is like an item that you can theoretically headcanon, like, oh, okay, well, they squashed their ears down or something. Or, you don't have to use that headpiece if you don't like the way it looks without the ears, or, whatever it is. But base core customization options for a character's physical appearance, like, to me that is the baseline offering that like you are presenting to players as like, here are part of the things that you pay for when you buy this game and you subscribe to this game, and part of that is your base customization in these races. And even if like from the get-go they had said like, okay, well, you don't get hairstyles, you only get these 5 hairstyles, but like they had kind of initially said, you will get far more customization options in other areas, right? But that's not the case. And the races aren't so bestial that they like have, backwards heel foots or feet or things like that, where you're going, okay, well, if I really want this bestial element, then I will only play them and I realize that I can't have footwear on them, right? They are otherwise fairly humanoid, and they share body builds that are fairly similar in appearance to other races. So it's something where, again, like, I love this game and I adore it, but like, what is happening with these? Like,
Yeah.
you need to release a finished product and a product that will work for your game, and not like piecemeal string people along if they really relate to these races and really care about these races and really want to use them. And I don't know. It's
Yeah,
very
it's
weird.
weird when they're designing these because I mean they sell hairstyles, they sell headgear, they give away headgear and hairstyles as in-game rewards, but they don't always work with 2 of these races, and it boggles my mind how this is continuing to be an issue for such an intelligent dev team that have really done some cool stuff with this game. This continues to be like the biggest, like, forgive my French, like, shit stain on the game. Like, this really is the stupidest part of 14. It just I'm speechless. I mean, I'm not, because I keep talking crap about it, but like, it's just, how did this happen? Like, it blows my mind.
I don't know. I'm really glad we're getting the opposite genders. Again, it's like what's there is super good. It's super cute. But like, I mean, it's just so difficult, This team, they are wonderful people. They are
Yes.
wonderful developers. This is like an incredible community around this game. It is, again, it's like you will always do things you are very proud of in your work, and then there will be things, no matter what your work is, where you're like, wow, whoops, I goofed that and I need to figure out what to do with it. But it's just like, for the level of polish and the position that Final Fantasy XIV has in the MMO world, right? To create things that are like they just literally don't work with your game. It is actually boggling to me. Like, it really does startle me, especially for these being the last races. Like any game, if you think about, like, okay, well, you get a new race and they tell you you're gonna get a new race, and that's part of like one of the big selling features for your next expansion, and then they like don't have half the options of anything, unless that is like a precedent that is very clearly established in your game. It just is very confusing as a player, and especially in MMOs where, again, like we've talked about, your personal avatar, your personal customization in this game, it is a large foundation of why people like and play MMOs. Like, so it's your demographic, it's your type of game, it's the technology you're using in it, and ultimately they made the races like this.
Yeah.
So like, it's a problem that they made that they need to now figure out what they're going to do with, and none of these solutions have honestly been acceptable by the caliber of this game in my book. It's
Yeah.
very weird.
I agree.
It's very weird.
Moving on from that, I'm surprised
Glamour
that
plates.
yeah, glamour plates, more glamour plates and locations where they can be used. I think before they talked about oh, what's the term, like if you're at like an Aetheryte, like the encampment, there's like a
Oh,
Sanctuary.
sanctuary. I think they mentioned maybe sanctuaries before as
Yeah.
a possibility for these.
With the exception of a few that they did not name.
Yeah. So that'll be good. I'm still on that, like if I want to put something in my dresser, I have to take something out. So like I'm really I'm looking forward to
Well,
expanding this.
that's not where we're getting quite yet. This
Right,
time
yeah,
it's just
yeah,
the
yeah,
glamour
yeah.
plates,
More
which we're
plates
getting
now.
5 more,
We're
so we'll
getting
have
the other
20 instead
stuff
of
later.
15.
I have
Yeah.
so many glamours.
But
It's
I'm with
amazing.
you. I can't believe they're doubling the glamour dresser. That
It's
is
so
that
good.
is significant.
So
That's
good.
huge. It's awesome. It's awesome.
Yeah. We're gonna
I'll
have
be able to get rid of a whole retainer.
I won't. Unless I get a large house. If I win the
He said,
lottery,
I won't.
I could win. I could move some stuff. You will. I forget what they called this. The ability to try on items from the Final Fantasy XIV online store.
It was dreaming something.
The dream fitting, I think.
That's
Dream
it.
fitting. Yeah, because they do it from the bed in an in-room.
Yeah, so you can see if you know things will work on your Fira or Hrothgar before
Oh my god.
putting money down. We'll also be getting new idle animations for parasols because right now they're very stiff. And so they'll have it where you can kind of like rest it on your shoulder and it'll look a little nicer. We're also going to get that check mark displayed on items used to obtain mounts minions, or like orchestrion rolls and stuff that you've already acquired, which is such a good quality of life change. I love that. And then they'll improve the market search for those items as well. So, and I think that's it. Did we do it? That's all the in-game stuff. We have a couple more out-of-game stuff, but I think that's the bulk of the in-game stuff here. Yeah, I'm looking forward to the new PvP, which isn't something I thought I'd ever say. I think it's cool to see them. I'm you know, they're adding a lot to it, and I hope that it pays off for them, and for the people that enjoy doing PvP. Story stuff though, like I need that story. I need to know.
Always need the story.
I love the Hildebrand stuff, like with Heroes Gauntlet.
I'm surprised you weren't like more
see.
squealing when we were talking about that part.
I can't wait to see how they make sense of that. I just like I'm really curious how they try and
The
explain.
thing about Hildebrand is they don't have to make sense of it.
but don't they? Like a little
You
bit.
can crawl your way through that and it's fine. That's the point of Hildebrand.
Tiny little bit.
I'm looking forward to seeing how they come back at Hildebrand with a fresh take, right? Because they said that they felt like a lot of what they were doing was kind of redundant, or they had kind of run out of a lot of fresh ideas. So the fact that he's coming back, I mean, it could very much be that they were just like, people really do love him and we really do need to bring him back. But it could also be that, like, you know, they had some really new fresh idea. And I love the ridiculous side quest. And we're getting so many side quests this go around that I think are really needed.
Yeah, we're getting 3 because we'll have Tataruz, we'll have the Omega stuff, and we'll have Hildebrand.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of stuff coming. There's a lot of story
I like
coming.
that.
Yeah.
This whole patch looks amazing. I'm not gonna lie. Like, they are doing so much. There's so much that's happening. So much quality of life stuff. So many different, you know, addressing of, you know, different needs that we have in the community, the new content, the new story. I can't wait to see where it takes us. Like, any and all complaints aside, you know, like, overall, this looks like it is going to be such a huge step for us, because this is a really important patch, right? This sets the tone for the next iteration of this journey. And Yoshida-san
10
himself,
years.
I know, like, and he keeps saying that he really is worried that people won't necessarily, like, they'll think that it's all over. It's only downhill from here. And of course, we don't think that, right? Like, I think the game is flourishing. It's better than ever. But
Here's a question I do have though. With this being the patch kind of after the end of everything, um, with the we usually, right, with 6.1 it's like, okay, we're gonna wrap up the expansion, right? But instead we have, not to bash the title of the patch, right, but we have this kind of vague like newfound adventure, and it sounds like there, I mean, we can see there's so many little threads that we're kind of starting to follow here. Do you think that
Starting the
having
beginning of the tapestry, man.
do you think that it's gonna be, how do you think it's gonna be having a bunch of little stories versus the continuation of an expansion narrative? Do you think it's, I mean, obviously, like, we could just reserve our feelings till it comes out, but do you think it'll feel better? It'll feel worse? Like,
It'll just be different, I think.
different?
I think it's honestly, like, looking at it, I think it's gonna be great. I'm always super optimistic when we go in, well, usually super optimistic when we go into these patches. This one has me like very excited, very optimistic. And where else do you start but with little threads? I feel like
True.
it's almost it is a restarting of the story, even though we're in the middle now. And I think it's a great place for a lot of new players to come in. They actually even talked about that. They didn't they? They talked about in the future maybe having this be a starting point with if people come in and are like, there's too much story to get through.
It'd be a good
Yeah.
time for like a time jump. I'm just saying.
no,
See,
I
we
think
jumped 5 years and you jumped what, 7?
yeah. I think that it'll be awesome, honestly.
Yeah.
The thing is that, like, there's a certain weight that continuing an ongoing, constantly, like, momentum gaining narrative has to it. Where, like, you kind of have an idea of where you've been, the direction of where you're going, and you're like, okay, well, this has to be ridiculous. Like, this has to be this big thing. Like, oh my gosh, it's all coming together. And there is that kind of like pressure that's on you as a player as you like are almost playing through it, and the weight of where you're at. So I think there's something really liberating about, like, we keep saying like returning to being an adventurer again, right? But like getting to explore small threads and to start to like pick up the pieces here or there to see like how they're going to weave this next tapestry of story, like how they're going to get all these threads
Mhm.
together and where they want to take it. And that's kind of the most exciting part because there's so much promise ahead and you don't have that weight, and you're
Yeah.
like, wow, I'm fresh, I'm ready, I just want to like go and explore and then start putting this all together again. And I really like the
I
like little pieces that we have. And Yoshida-san said that we're maybe going Mercedia. There was a bit of
Yeah, I was waiting for that.
so
yeah.
I'm feeling very good, and the gods look amazing. I have never been so excited for a 24-man raid. I am like genuinely excited for all the content coming this patch. I'm so pumped.
Yeah. I think
How,
I
we keep
like,
coming back to it too. The whole PvP thing. We don't really do PvP here. Like, we pay attention to it because that's what we do. We're responsible reporters, but also we're probably not gonna go do it. This time we are. What?
Yeah.
I think for me, I like the idea of the little threads because coming off of Shadowbringers, right? That 5.0 crazy story, and then 5.1 lands, and it's like, okay, we're gonna go to this mansion, and there's this guy that knows a lot about the soul, and it's like, okay, great. And it just like it, we had that crazy build up. We have the fight with Hades. There's Amarant and all this stuff, and then we have like the Grand Cosmos to follow that up, and it's just like, all right. But now, I mean, we've talked before about how great some of these smaller side quests have been, stuff like the Void quests. And so if they can be even half as good as that, and then have like 3 new quest series on top of whatever this potentially fragmented kind of main scenario stuff is, like, I'm super excited for the story. I think it's gonna be a lot of fun.
It's sort of interesting that we're always saying, oh, it'd be nice if they tied that more into the MSQ, and this time the MSQ is kind of like everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
It almost feels, and I don't, maybe this isn't the best way to say it, but I almost feel like the side quests are taking more of the spotlight in a sense, like almost like the MSQ would be the equivalent of just like another side quest or something, but it's just called the MSQ because that's the one with the dungeon or something.
Kind of.
Yeah, but I mean, I think that's really them taking full advantage of all the storytelling devices at their disposal, right? And like we said, I think it's kind of fun to have a lot of different threads that you're sort of interweaving so that all of that weight doesn't have to fall on one thing. So to like have all these different possibilities spread out across the context of like, oh yeah, maybe this is our main thing now, but hey, how about this stuff and that stuff and these things? I think it just adds to that like there's so many possibilities kind of feeling as we
Yeah.
move forward.
You know what? It could have originally been the way they wanted to start the game before, but because they weren't sure that it was gonna actually succeed, we kind of got big chunk of stuff that hopefully people think is great and is all together in this nice little box that we can concentrate very much on. But now they are successful and they can kind of go, you get this and you get this and it's this spice and it's that spice and so many things.
Okay, so miscellaneous announcements from the live letter. Primals are going to be doing 2 live concerts in Japan. That's going to be June 4th and June 5th. Both events will be available as paid streams. So yay. There is a bunch of merch though that's only available in Japan. There's some shirts, water bottle, some buttons, a hat. There's also going to be a new album, Beyond the Shadow. That's going to be available. It releases on May 25th. You can get it from the Square Enix store. Don't buy it from the Square Enix store. The album is $25. The shipping is $20. Do not buy it from the Square Enix store. I'm getting mine from CD Japan. I know I've talked about this a little bit before. With DHL shipping, which is one of the only options available, shipping is a little bit more, but they also scale to the current value of the yen versus the dollar. So I'm actually saving like $7, and I'll probably get it the day it releases in Japan here. So I would highly recommend that.
It's kind of like a birthday gift, the Science concert, because I will be that's my birthday, June 4th. But
oh, you're
I
a
won't be-
June birth. I'm a June birthday too.
I am.
Hey.
but I won't be able to be in Japan. And I
No.
like, oh, it would have been so good. We still haven't taken our honeymoon. We were planning to go to Japan, but obviously there's a lot of safety concerns. But I'm so glad that they are streaming it so that you can still catch it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'll be nice.
Very cool.
Additionally, they're gonna put out the first Endwalker. Well, I guess it's the only Endwalker art book, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's weird because it's like I mean, like 6.3 will technically be
Highlands of York
Endwalker, but it'll be a
Endwalker.
new. It's
More different or Endwalker.
So we'll have
Beginning Walker.
Beginning Walker.
Yeah.
That's 7.0 Beginning Walker.
Beginning runner, even. Let's take off at a run.
Well, hold on now. I mean, maybe not everyone can run. Maybe like beginning light jogger.
We're very tired after Endwalker proper, so it's like beginning, shambler.
Shambler.
Yeah.
Beginning, take out all the
Oh,
tissues
God.
that have piled up in my garbage from Endwalker.
So we're gonna have the Art of Resurrection Among the Stars. That'll be the first Endwalker art book here. It's available for pre-order right now. It'll release on September 13th. Again, it's like $20. It's the same amount to ship this as the damn CD from the Square Enix store. Buy it from Amazon.
I was gonna say I actually checked Amazon yesterday. It's not up yet.
No, it
but
is today.
assume-
It is
It
today.
is? Okay.
Yeah. They actually said
Quick.
yesterday that orders from other retailers would go up today. So it is
Awesome.
there.
Thank you.
So
Thank you for that very helpful information, Fusion X Screamer.
yeah, if you happen to why'd you use the last name? That's weird.
I don't know.
If you happen to see any Amazon like links on our website gamerscape.com, click on that. You can affiliate it and stuff, and that always helps us out. And yeah, that's it.
That's it. 6.1 looks awesome.
We did
I'm
it.
looking
wait.
forward to it.
Yeah. I'm excited. Hrothgar hair ran aside. I'm
yeah.
excited.
Yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff in
The
here.
content looks good. The quality of life stuff is both very good and
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's a lot of good stuff. I think they definitely will have the story and the repeatable content to give people plenty of stuff to do. So
Oh, definitely.
That is going to do it for us this week. Anything else we want to add before we do the outro spiel here?
Oh, let's do it.
Make sure you do all your role quests because there will be a new
Yeah,
bonus
do the roll quest.
capstone.
Run, just for old time's sake. Hit up Praetorium. Hit up Cape Westwind.
Totorak.
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 Oh,
You'll miss
Totorak.
it. You'll miss it. Get those last screenshots. Get the last scene footage of the way it used to be.
Yeah, because after April 12th, you'll be able to say, "Back in my day,
I do that already. What are you talking about?
Totorak wasn't a linear dungeon. We had to walk back and forth in the
And
tunnels,
whenever I queued
both
in with new
ways
people,
uphill in the
they
snow."
always went the stupid way. I always go.
I won't
the
lie.
last-
Every time I get Totorak, which is very rare, which is why this happens, I get Totorak and I go, "Shit, which way was it?" I was running around like, I don't know where I'm going. And luckily, everybody else is in the same boat usually when that happens.
Yeah.
So
This will be helpful.
Yeah.
But yeah, go through it one last time. Explore, maybe take a group in or go by yourself and just like explore all the little wings and all the little stuff and see if there's anything that you missed because it will be gone. So
all right, so that's gonna do it here for us. If you want, you can find me on Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube as Raffledurg. Zen, where can they find you?
I am on Twitter as Xenedra_A. I'm on Twitch as Strawberry Bop, and also plus one shot plus the word, one the number, shot the word, and that is D&D podcast that I do with our beautiful friend Aldino, and we put that on YouTube. And I have a show tonight, very very late, with my Australian friends. So if you like Australian accents, come hang out.
I realized I forgot to delete the moose command in here. Go follow Anonymous too. He was on our lorecast. Go watch the
Yeah, we love
lorecast.
Moose.
If you're done with Endwalker and you're all right with spoilers, go watch our lorecast. Aldio's not here, but I kept him on the slide because it was easier that way. Follow him on Twitter at
keep an eye out
Aldino.
for his OnlyFans. It's coming
One
soon.
of these days, it's gonna be so good. I can't wait to see what kind of content he has planned. Every time we talk about this, I just
This
get.
was a joke. He's like, no, I'm doing it. It's gonna happen one
Is he
day."
really? Wait, did he tell you this yesterday on April 1st?
No, it was like 2 weeks
yes.
ago.
Oh, I'm so
Okay.
I was like I'm so hyped for this. I'm actually like, hell yeah.
What will be on there? We don't know.
And Rook.
You can find me everywhere at Rookery, ROOKURI. The only place that it's different is Twitter. So Twitch, YouTube, Instagram, at Rookery. On Twitter, it is Rookery_.
All right. And if you want to contact just the show in general, Aetheryte Radio at gamerescape.com. Also on Twitter at Aetheryte Radio. You can also find us as Gamer Escape on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, and Discord. That'll be discord.gg/Gamer Escape for all of you URL people. We have an Aetheryte Radio channel on there. You can come and talk to us about the show. There's a Final Fantasy 14 channel where you can talk to us about
Final Fantasy
14. Hey, it's like the name is like the topic. That's
There's also a lore channel, which
There is.
Moose hangs out in a lot. So if you have any questions for him, throw him directly under the question bus. Yeah.
Okay.
Susan's like, I don't like that.
There's just weird imagery going through my head now. Is it just like, is it like a bus and then the ad is like the question, or is it like a bus full of people with questions? I
All
don't.
of these things.
All of it.
Whatever,
Okay.
whatever makes your heart happy.
Maybe it's like a scrolling, like a big television ad. It just scrolls all the questions on the side of the
Yes.
bus. Okay.
Yeah, I like
just-
that one.
I need to know the specifics about this question
That's
bus.
fair.
All right, that's going to do it for us this week, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we will see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.